Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to MetrObelisk Radio. Today we are looking at the second episode of Firefly, The Train Job. Now this was the first episode to air on Fox when the series was initially running, and this episode was written by Joss Whedon and Tim Minear. Now for those of you who don't know who Tim Minear is, Tim Minear was a writer on Angel and the executive story editor for the final season of Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. Later on, he would go on to write for Dollhouse, American Horror Story, and even create the show 911. Now, this episode was directed by Joss Whedon. So with all that basic information out of the way, let's get right into the episode. So this episode starts off in an Alliance-friendly bar on Unification Day. Now, Unification Day is when the Alliance won the war against the Browncoats, the Independents, in the series. And it does lead to a bar fight between Malcolm, Zoe, and Jane with everyone else. It ends with the Serenity coming in, telling everyone to back off or they'll blow a new crater in this moon, even though the Serenity has no guns. But as long as the other guy doesn't know, you've got the upper hand in that situation. Now, the purpose of this opening is to show Malcolm, Zoe, and Jane going to the bar to get a contact for the new job via a slip of paper. And then after that, we go to the main space station, what orbits, what's looking like a moon. That's when we meet Adlai Niska. Now, he is important to remember because he does come back later on in the series. Basically, he gives Malcolm and the Serenity crew the job of stealing Alliance cargo off of a train. No questions asked. If the Serenity crew doesn't do the job, then he will torture and kill them all according to his reputation. We also meet Crow, who is Adlai's muscle. He's the guy who the Serenity crew is going to meet to finish the job. Now, the Serenity crew gets half the money up front and the other half from Crow when it's all said and done. So after this, Malcolm and Zoe are on board the train and make their way to the train car with the cargo. Kaylee is staying back on the Serenity to lower Jane into the car to retrieve the cargo. Now, during the retrieval, they do get caught and Jane gets shot in the leg by an Alliance officer. Malcolm and Zoe then escape from said Alliance officer's sight. Now, from this moment on, this is where the episode splits. I'll talk about the stuff on the Serenity first. What happens is Jane tries to invoke the chain of command and complete the job without Malcolm and Zoe, who, from his perspective, got caught. It leads to confrontations before Simon injects him with a sedative to basically keep him quiet. Okay, so the second part of this episode from this point on is Malcolm and Zoe leave the train, and this is the part I'm going to focus the most on. And then they realize that the Alliance goods that they stole was for the sick town. The sheriff explains that the town was full of miners and the disease from the mine spread around, and without the medicine some will die. Now at some point Inara does come into the town and rescue Malcolm and Zoe. Now the big takeaway from this episode is the moral choice that the Serenity crew is forced to make. Complete the job knowing that some people will get sick and die, or deliver the medicine back. It sounds simple, right? But in my opinion, no. I believe that the moral choice was horrible in execution. Malcolm just on a whim decides to return the medicine back and betray Adlai. My issue with this is normally on a ship, a captain's loyalty is to his crew. Why would Malcolm, the captain of the Serenity, make a decision that could endanger not only himself, but also his crew, because Adlai made it very clear to him earlier that anyone who does not complete the job or double crosses him would get killed by him. Now, after Malcolm decides to bail on the job, Crow, Adlai's muscle, comes by to collect the loot. It leads to a fight where the Serenity crew ultimately does come out on top, and Malcolm and Zoe do return the medicine to the town and try to reason with Crow, who at this point has been tied up. Crow goes into a monologue about how he will hunt down Malcolm and his crew, and the last thing they'll see is the end of his blade. Malcolm then kicks Crow back into the engine. Another of Crow's crew basically agrees to Malcolm's terms, and it's the end of the episode. Now, I know that this episode is a lot shorter than my episode on Serenity, but I'm going to still end this with final thoughts. And the big one is that this episode would have been better without the moral choice. This could have been the episode where we genuinely see the Serenity crew on a job that we see from the starting message to the final delivery of goods. Again, the moral choice is completely illogical. It's only really there to make the quote-unquote heroes out of a group of outlaws, when it could have been shown in other ways that doesn't involve invoking an emotional response from the audience. In a nutshell, the episode was going great until the writers got lazy and put in a moral choice that didn't need to be there. Now, let's play a what-if game. What if the moral choice had to remain? How could it be better? here's what I would do. Still show the sick town, obviously, because you have to have a setup, but have Malcolm and Zoe come back to the Serenity a lot earlier than just sitting in the sheriff's office for most of that time. Have the crew split on the decision whether or not to return the medicine to the town or to Adelaide. Now, after the fighting goes on for a couple of minutes, have Malcolm just lay it out on the table, basically just say, look, it's a good deed to return the medicine, but my loyalty is to you, not the people in the town. If we don't complete the job, then Adelaide will hunt us down, torture us for as long as he can, and then kill us when he's done. Because honestly, no one in that town is going to remember our names for even delivering the fucking medicine. If this had been the moral choice, it may have put some viewers off. But when you think about it in the big picture, it's the most logical decision given the circumstances present in this episode. Now, with that said, that does conclude our look at the train job. I hope that you will come back next time when we look at the episode Bushwhacked.